Stefanski is the coach of the Cleveland Browns. He's a really good coach, and he's dealt with some ownership stuff and the Baker stuff, and he's a really, really good coach. I think he's one of the only 2 or 3 coaches in the NFL that's an Ivy Leaguer. I think he went to Penn or something. I mean, really smart guy. I love the way he calls the game. And to, dealing with the nonsense he's dealt with, he and Andrew Berry, the GM, are obviously know what they're doing. So he was talking about Patrick Mahomes, and sometimes because the NBA is a star league and the NFL is more about the shield and the team, I think we forget just how big of a star Patrick Mahomes is. 123 million people watch the Super Bowl. You know that game that Mahomes keeps getting into and mostly winning? The Olympic ratings for basketball were the highest ratings for any basketball game in a year, got 20 million. He got over 6 times that for one game. Most, overwhelmingly, 90% of the greatest players ever, other star athletes don't mimic. There's not a lot of Peyton Manning copycats or Tom Brady copycats. Now, Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes, stylistically, you see guys throwing off platform, no-look passes, they get mimicked. Steph Curry gets mimicked. Nobody tried the sky hook with Kareem. LeBron didn't change the game. He was just great. A lot of guys, most players don't change the game. They're just really productive, and they win. Even the great ones. Nobody's copying Tim Duncan. But I always think there's a certain audacity to the way Mahomes and Steph Curry plays. And Stefanski says they're kind of the same. They change the game. And I do believe that's true with both Mahomes and Steph Curry. And I also think there's a joyfulness and a playfulness to their style. But whenever you're just great, right, I think sometimes it overshadows fundamentals. When I think of Steph Curry, you know what I think of? His pregame routine. It's the most intense in the league. I've had multiple coaches I've talked to about Steph Curry. They're like, you have no idea how hard he works. And then you watch the games. Has there ever been a player in league history that works as hard as Steph Curry to get his shot? And Patrick Mahomes, last year, yards per attempt, he was 19th. Mahomes has become a great quarterback, better since Tyreek Hill left. Neither one's rigid. They can play in multiple styles with multiple teammates. I always said Steph Curry was willing to play with Kevin Durant. Carmelo Anthony was threatened by Jeremy Lin. I like Trae Young a lot, but he can't get along with DeJounte Murray. Come on, man. It's like part of the greatness of Mahomes and Curry, they never get in their own way. Mahomes has virtually no ego. He's making $50 million a year, 40 endorsements, beautiful wife. Literally, he laughs at the dad bod jokes. He laughs at it. He's not insecure about it. He's not threatened by it. Takes the shirt off, take a picture, he laughs at it. He lets the cameras in Netflix to his house. He laughs at some of the dysfunction. By the way, dysfunction we all have in our lives, he just laughs at it. No insecurity. Steph Curry comes out with shoes. Remember those shoes, that shoe line? It's like, that's what pharmacists wear. What in the gut? He laughs at it. They're so secure in themselves, they never get in their own way. And there's so many great stars out there. Once you're great and you're stylish and great, you don't get credit for your IQ, your EQ, your coachability, your self-awareness, not stepping on others' toes. And I hope we all realize Steph Curry's the hardest working guy in the league. Nobody's ever worked harder to get a shot, fight through screens. Nobody. And that's what I think about when I think of him, is that pregame workout. And look at what Mahomes has done since Tyreek Hill left. He wasn't rigid. He didn't try to force it. He's like, I'll dink and dunk. And he wins back-to-back Super Bowls. So I think a lot.
Okay. So there's a lot that I want to talk about this because I agree with a ton of what Colin is saying. But then I think there's a few things that I think are just incorrect. I think the comparison has a very clear stopping point between Steph and Mahomes. I absolutely think Mahomes is, changing or has already changed the game. Like Curry in a lot of ways. Patrick Mahomes is just one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. Everything that he can do. And me and Travis O'Shea have been talking about this more recently. Someone subscriber of the channel who, we say that like, Curry won, that Mahomes won last season being largely a game manager. I know the dreaded game manager, and how much that matters, that we get so obsessed with all the behind the back throw that Mahomes makes. And like, I personally don't care about that type of stuff because I know largely what it takes to win football games. Yes, it's amazing to be able to have those things, but you just can't rely on it too heavily. And I think, and I've said this now also a lot, that Mahomes, because a lot of times I credit, I give a lot of credit to the Chiefs for their success and Patrick Mahomes' success for people like Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, just other pieces, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And I've now also have praised credit to Patrick Mahomes for not having the ego, for being coachable, for taking in what Andy Reid is saying and trusting him and learning from him and growing from him. That really matters. That is one of the issues that you see that Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen are failing to do in a lot of ways, whether because they don't have the coach or they don't have the humility to be able to learn and grow and adapt and change their game. And to me, that's actually the biggest thing that Patrick Mahomes has had. Because when he did enter this league, like, he does want to just do that razzle dazzle again and again and again and again. And Andy Reid was very much like, that's awesome, that's great, we're going to do that, but we can't do it all the time. You got to stop. We got to pull back a little bit. And it's clear. It's very clear. And he took it in. He wants to win more than he wants to just show everyone what he can do. And again, that's massive. That's huge. And that is very similar to a Steph Curry who's like, listen, I'm probably going to get less shots and less points when KD comes around. Whatever. Let's go. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to be, an all-time great, a legend. And I have the confidence in that. And I think that's awesome. I really, really do. Considering who Patrick Mahomes is and what he's done for the NFL. I also think even something as little as Travis Kelce, I shouldn't say little, it's pretty massive, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, that took a tremendous amount of attention. Quite frankly, that story was bigger than anything Patrick Mahomes has done in the entire NFL, quite frankly. I know a lot of diehard football fans won't see it that way, and I am very clear. I've made many videos saying that I wish Taylor Swift and that whole storyline stayed completely out of football, because football, sports are about the players, not the people in the stands, not the celebrities in the stands. The celebrities are on the field. But you can't deny that Taylor Swift has legitimately taken over the world. And, he could have been petty about it a little bit. He could have said, I just want to focus on the game, this, that. But he just had fun with it. He was like, yeah, I told Travis, he better not mess this up. Like, he had fun with it. He showed that humility. And so I think that's awesome. And quite frankly, we know this. A lot of people, a lot of fans aren't crazy about Patrick Mahomes' wife. And I'm not going to go too deep into that because it's not the scope of this video. But for the most part, everyone loves Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift became the instant celebrity for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's not Patrick Mahomes' wife. At first, it was even like, oh my God, how's this going to land? I wouldn't say that people really love Mahomes' wife, and that's not a dig at her. I'm not saying anything negative about her. I don't know her. I don't care about their wives. Like, that's the thing. I don't care about their wives. I care about the players, but it can't be denied that the general, fans, the casuals, they don't necessarily see her, as someone that they necessarily praise. And so kudos, and I'm sure Patrick Mahomes knows that. I know that, even Patrick Mahomes' brother, that types of things, he feels that, he senses all that. And to have now Taylor Swift step up, it's like, that's legendary. So again, I think how Mahomes has dealt with all of that is quite incredible. And then there's two more things that I really want to highlight though. Because the way how also Mahomes is like Curry is that people try to copy Curry, right? Teams try to copy, the Warriors, and they can't. They couldn't, right? They tried to shoot and play, whether it's Damian Lillard, whether it's Trae Young, whether it's the Rockets trying to be the Warriors, right? It did not work because none of those players, none of their star players are Steph Curry. They're great players. Damian Lillard's great, right? Trae Young can shoot, but they're not Steph. They can't do what Steph can do. So you're not going to have the success that the Warriors and Steph Curry has had. And I think that we see that with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody wants to try to find the next Patrick Mahomes, but the reality is you'll probably find people that make you think of Patrick Mahomes, but they're not Patrick Mahomes. They can't game manage when it needs to. They don't have the ability to follow what their elite head coach has to say, right? They don't need to not be the star every 5 seconds. They aren't willing to take a pay cut. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they were unwilling to take a team-friendly deal like Patrick Mahomes did. That's huge. That's a massive difference right there. That's a massive difference. Jalen Hurts didn't. And again, I get it. A lot of these guys, they want their money, and they're not getting the endless endorsements like Patrick Mahomes is getting because he's already winning, right? That's the benefit of when you get to win so early. You already got the fame, you already got the endorsement, so you're kind of like, all right, I want to keep this going. That's kind of the difference. And again, all the credit in the world to Patrick Mahomes. And now here's the final point that I actually want to drive home more than anything. I probably could have started with it, but here's the major difference between Patrick Mahomes and Steph Curry. Major difference. And I followed both their careers very, very closely. I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. Steph Curry, every step of the way, individually, he absolutely got praised for his shooting, for his threes, all of that. Undeniably, right? MVPs, all that. But for the Warriors winning championships, they absolutely, positively de-emphasized Steph Curry every step of the way. Every championship. Every. He didn't win the MVP the first time. Andre Iguodala did. And they wouldn't even say that Steph Curry played particularly well against the Cavaliers. And they also say injury, Kyrie, Kevin Love, it was just LeBron and Matthew Dellavedova, fumbled his last name. And well, of course they won. What do you want them to do? And then the next year, they lost, right? They had the historic team and they lost. And it was like, Steph Curry's not good enough. Told you LeBron's better. Steph Curry's not good enough. Then they went out and got KD. And they said, Steph Curry needs KD. KD's the MVP. KD won the MVP those years. And then KD gets injured and they don't win it. And they're like, see, Steph Curry's not good enough. And that's what they kept saying. And then when he finally won that other year with Andrew Wiggins and company, it was like finally he started to get his flowers more. People finally were like, okay, then he got his MVP. And you knew it. He was very emotional about that. They all said that he can't win. They all said he's not good enough. He did not get that universal, unified praise as to why they were winning championships. Everyone said that he's great and elite and a top, all-time great shooter, but they weren't saying what they were saying necessarily now. That is not Patrick Mahomes. In fact, it's been the opposite journey for Patrick Mahomes. They de-emphasize every single thing that Patrick Mahomes has, whether it be his defense, whether it be Andy Reid, whether it be Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, right? They de-emphasize. They say he won without Tyreek Hill. They say Travis Kelce wasn't a Hall of Famer before Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes made Travis Kelce. Andy Reid never won anything. Patrick Mahomes. They de-emphasize everything around him. And because I emphasize those things and I bring those things up, people say that, I'm a hater of the Chiefs. They say I'm a hater of the Chiefs when I say Travis Kelce is an all-time great. Andy Reid's an all-time great. The GM's an all-time great. Like they say that I'm a hater of the Chiefs when I'm literally saying the Chiefs have a ton of things going for them. That they have the greatest coach of all time. Like, it's just kind of weird to say that you're a hater. Or they say, well, I'm a Mahomes hater. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm literally in this video saying that Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great. Also, one of my favorite players to watch is changing the NFL. That other quarterbacks and other teams want to be the Chiefs or like Mahomes, and they can't because they are not Mahomes. Crediting Mahomes for being humble and to being able to be coachable, adaptable, for being willing to be a game manager, to also doing the razzle-dazzle. I can't praise Patrick Mahomes enough. I can't praise him enough. But I also like to have honest conversations. We have to have honest conversations. Michael Jordan's not winning all those rings if Scottie Pippen's not there, if Dennis Rodman's not there, if Steve Kerr's not there. It's okay to acknowledge the things around you. Steph Curry doesn't have as many rings if KD's not there. KD doesn't have his rings if Steph Curry's not there. LeBron James doesn't have his rings if Dwayne Wade's not there, if Bosh isn't there. if Kyrie's not there, if AD's not there. We can do it with all the greats. All the greats. And we could do it with Mahomes. But for whatever reason, people don't want to bring that up with Mahomes. And in fact, the one time that they want to say, oh, well, Mahomes didn't have any weapon, Mahomes didn't have an offensive line and he lost, right? Then they want to blame the things around him. But yet when he actually now has the gifts, they want to say, those gifts didn't matter. But when he doesn't have the gifts and he loses, they blame the lack of it. It's just inconsistent. But I can't be more clear. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. Unbelievable. What the Kansas City Chiefs have been doing, and I've been saying that they are an absolute dynasty. A dynasty. It seems like some people are still saying that they're not a dynasty yet, that they have to win this year to be a dynasty, and I'm already crowning them a dynasty, and yet I get often tagged as a Kansas City Chiefs hater, which is just kind of funny to me, because it could not be farther from the truth. I literally have in my phone time-stamped, in my notes app of me giving my family, I wrote all the reasons why they should be rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs in the very first Super Bowl. Because I watch, at least back then, I watched Super Bowl with lots of, family, friends, random people, and they're not diehard football fans. And I would be like, this is who we're rooting for. We're rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is why, because I'm cool like that. So I literally was saying the Kansas City Chiefs before they ever even won a Super Bowl. So it always makes me smile. So I was kind of happy to be able to do this video. I don't do a ton of Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes videos because it gets too boring because it's just the same conversation again and again and again. I like to kind of unpack things that are a little bit more complicated, and it's not that complicated to me. Patrick Mahomes is an unbelievably all-time great quarterback, one of the best we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. It's like I don't want to make a video just saying that again and again and again, yeah, those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Mahomes changing the game like Curry? Is Patrick Mahomes the most talented quarterback ever? And, what do you think some of the similarities and differences, I guess, between Mahomes and Curry and just, I guess, Mahomes in general? But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.